Genesis of Japanese mythology, the origins of a nation's spiritual beliefs. Japanese mythology, an intricate weave of gods, creation myths, spirits, and historical figures, has shaped the cultural and religious landscape of Japan for millennia. Rooted in the ancient Shinto religion but also influenced by Buddhism and local folklore, Japanese mythology tells the story of the cosmos, the creation of the islands of Japan, and the divine ancestry of its emperors. This documentary will explore the origins and evolution of these myths, tracing their genesis through oral traditions, texts, and ritual practices. We will journey through the mythic time of the kami, the gods and spirits who inhabit Japan's natural world, and explore the cosmological battles, acts of creation, and moral tales that form the bedrock of Japan's cultural identity. Chapter 1. The Dawn of Time and the Emergence of the Kami. At the heart of Japanese mythology lies the idea of kami, divine beings or spirits that reside in natural elements such as mountains, rivers, trees, and animals. Before the formation of the world, the cosmos existed in a state of chaos, an endless swirling void known as the Aim no Ukahashi, the floating bridge of heaven. This space was formless, where nothing had yet taken physical shape. The first kami to emerge from this chaos were Aim no Minakanushi, Takami Musubi, and Kamimi Musubi, often referred to as the Three Pure Ones, or Kodo Amatsukami, who represented the abstract concept of creation itself. These deities, however, remained largely removed from the physical world, instead serving as celestial forces guiding the creation to come. From the void, a cosmic island began to form in the waters beneath the heavens. It was during this moment that two more pivotal deities arose, Izanagi and Izanami, a divine pair tasked with shaping the world and bringing order to the primordial chaos. Chapter 2. Izanagi and Izanami, the creation of Japan. The myth of Izanagi and Izanami is central to the creation of Japan and its islands. These two kami were siblings as well as lovers, and they were given a sacred mission by the heavenly deities to create the land and populate it with life. Standing on the Aim no Ukahashi, the two gods used a jeweled spear, the Amino, Nuboko, to stir the chaotic waters below. As the spear was lifted, drops of water fell and solidified, forming the first island, Onagorojima. This island became the first landmass, and from there, Izanagi and Izanami descended to begin their work. On Onagorojima, the divine couple built a palace and performed a sacred marriage ritual to unite themselves and begin the process of creation. However, their initial union was marred by an error. In the ritual, Izanami spoke first, an action considered improper. Their first offspring were deformed and cast aside, rejected by the gods. To correct this mistake, they performed the ritual again, this time with Izanagi speaking first. This union bore fruitful results. From their union, the Japanese archipelago was created. They gave birth to the islands of Awaji, Shikoku, Kyushu, and Honshu, the four primary islands of Japan. As their divine offspring increased, they gave birth to additional kami who represented various elements of the natural world, including the mountains, rivers, and seas. Chapter 3. The Tragedy of Izanami and the Descent to Yomi. Izanami, the mother goddess, continued to give birth to many gods, but tragedy struck when she delivered Kagetsuchi, the god of fire. The process of birthing this fiery deity caused Izanami to be severely burned, leading to her death. Devastated, Izanagi mourned the loss of his beloved wife. He buried her in a tomb at the base of Mount Hiba, but he could not accept her passing. In a desperate attempt to reunite with Izanami, Izanagi descended into the underworld, Yomi, the land of the dead. However, the reunion was not as he had hoped. When he found Izanami, her body had already begun to decay. Ashamed of her state, Izanami forbade Izanagi from looking at her. Driven by curiosity and love, he disobeyed her, lighting a torch to see her face. To his horror, Izanami had transformed into a rotting corpse surrounded by deathly kami. Enraged by his betrayal, Izanami pursued Izanagi out of Yomi, vowing to bring death to 1,000 people each day as revenge. Izanagi, in turn, declared that he would ensure the birth of 1,500 people each day to counter her curse. This myth not only explains the origin of death, but also introduces the cycle of life and death, with Izanami becoming the goddess of the underworld and Izanagi retreating back to the world of the living. Chapter 4. Purification and the Birth of Amaterasu. After his terrifying journey to Yomi, Izanagi sought to cleanse himself of the impurities of the underworld. This act of purification, known as misogi, is a significant ritual in Shinto practice even today. As he washed, three important deities emerged from his body. From his left eye came Amaterasu, the goddess of the sun. From his right eye came Tsukuyami, the god of the moon. From his nose came Susanoo, the god of storms and the sea. Amaterasu, the most revered deity in Japanese mythology, became the ruler of the heavens, while Tsukuyami was given dominion over the night, and Susanoo, known for his violent and unpredictable nature, was assigned to rule the seas. The relationships between these three siblings, however, were not peaceful. Amaterasu and Susanoo, in particular, had a contentious relationship that led to one of the most famous myths in Japanese folklore, the exile of Amaterasu. Chapter 5. The Tale of Amaterasu and the Cave of Darkness. Susanoo's destructive behavior eventually led to a dramatic confrontation with Amaterasu. In a fit of rage, Susanoo tore through the heavens, wreaking havoc in Amaterasu's domain. He defiled her sacred rice fields, threw the flayed skin of a horse into her weaving hall, and caused chaos among the other gods. Overcome by anger and grief, Amaterasu retreated into a cave, Aim no Iwado, plunging the world into total darkness. Without the sun goddess to illuminate the heavens, the world fell into disarray. Crops withered, and chaos spread across the land. The other gods, alarmed by the absence of light, devised a plan to lure Amaterasu out of the cave. They gathered around the cave's entrance and performed a celebratory ritual, complete with music and dance. The goddess Aim no Yuzum performed a particularly raucous and comedic dance, which amused the assembled gods and led to raucous laughter. Curiosity piqued. Amaterasu peeked out from the cave to see what was happening. At that moment, the god Aim no Tajikareo pulled the cave door open, and Amaterasu was coaxed back into the world, restoring light and order to the universe. This myth symbolizes the cyclical nature of day and night, as well as the triumph of light over darkness, chaos, and despair. Amaterasu's return also reaffirmed her status as the preeminent deity, and her descendants would go on to play a crucial role in the establishment of the Japanese imperial lineage. Chapter 6. The Divine Origins of the Japanese Imperial Family. The mythology of Amaterasu is not only important in terms of cosmology, but also politically significant, as it directly ties into the concept of Japan's imperial authority. According to tradition, the Japanese emperors are believed to be direct descendants of Amaterasu, making the emperor a divine figure with a sacred right to rule. This connection is established through the figure of Ninigi no Mikoto, Amaterasu's grandson, whom she sent to Earth to pacify and rule the islands of Japan. Before descending to the terrestrial realm, Ninigi was given three sacred treasures by Amaterasu: the Yaten no Kagami, a mirror; the Yasakani no Magatama, a jewel; and the Kusanagi no Tsurugi, a sword. These three items, known as the imperial regalia of Japan, symbolize the emperor's divine authority and continue to hold great cultural significance in modern Japan. Ninigi descended to Earth at Takamagara, the heavenly high plane, and began his rule over the land. His great-grandson, Jimmu Tenno, would later become the first human emperor of Japan, establishing a direct lineage that, according to legend, continues to this day. Jimmu's ascent to power, traditionally dated to 660 BCE, marks the beginning of Japan's imperial history, with his divine lineage from Amaterasu providing legitimacy to his reign. Chapter 7. The Integration of Buddhist and Local Folklore. As Japanese society evolved, so too did its mythology. By the 6th century CE, Buddhism began to spread throughout Japan, introduced via the Korean kingdom of Beech. Though initially met with resistance, it eventually blended with the indigenous Shinto beliefs, creating a unique syncretism known as Shinbutsu Shugo, or the combination of Shinto and